and have that conversation.
Do you ever see like on the opposite side of that where, some of the corporate folks who maybe had like one or two experience in military but are really unfamiliar with the military thing, they worry about us coming in and, doing the leadership thing of you will do this, you will do that because I said so. Do they understand the soft skills, where
You
it's
know,
like we can convince?
it's funny you say that. I'll give a prime example. She can't hear me because I'm downstairs. My wife never had any experience with working with military. She worked at Salesforce for many years, and she never really had that experience. She met me, yeah, whatever. I'm her husband or whatever, but she then ran into people who were in the prior military, and I would say 9.5 out of 10 times her experience was always positive. There was never a negative connotation to the military. Literally, the only negative connotation she ever knew of was low pay, right? Because the military, you don't get it. But literally, that was, I know that sounds strenuous, but that was her only negative. Her positive has always been disciplined, hardworking, follow directions, um, not one to complain, right? Many folks in the military don't like
Good at it.
complaining. That's just not what we do. So all of her experiences and her colleagues' experience had always been positive. I don't think I've ever heard a negative comment or connotation about looking at a military person for a job.
That's good to hear. So tell us about what you do now. You're a solutions engineer. A lot of folks don't know what it is. Is that like SaaS or
So it's really pre-sales, right? I am a pre-sales engineer in that a partner wants to sell Zoom. Zoom in most cases really kind of sells itself. Yeah.
yeah.
But but oftentimes when we have partners and customers coming into the Zoom universe, there are some things that they need to understand technically and process wise, right? And so as a solutions engineer, they may have questions about, hey, does it work with Microsoft Teams? Does it work with WebEx? Does it work with these other products? What integrations do you have? How can we use these 3,300 integrations that you have on your marketplace? How can we use them on your platform? Do we even need to use those, right? Is there a workaround for just using the basic platform that's behind me now? Right. So there are a lot of questions that end up being asked to make sure that Zoom fits into their environment and that they actually fit into what we're doing. Right.
Yeah.
Got a question from John.
Yeah. Go ahead, sir.
I do. Thanks for coming in and speaking to us today, Tony. Um, I appreciate you kind of giving us the heads up of like what a solutions engineer does because we don't exactly have those in the military, right? And I was like,
Right.
I'm not exactly sure like what
Right.
what they do, right? But your example helps a little bit. And I kind of want to continue in that vein a little bit of like, so you're talking about the client having a whole bunch of questions, like, so what's your approach for kind of understanding like what the client needs and like how do you align that like with the product and the service that Zoom provides?
I think the first thing is to listen.
Yeah.
Ask open-ended discovery questions. Right. Oftentimes, because we're technical, me and my colleagues, we oftentimes will just dive right in to a specific question. Well, what happens is that kind of pigeonholes you into a solution that may be narrower than you expected. So the best thing that we like to do, or we should do, sometimes it doesn't happen 100%, is to first ask a very broad question, right? What do you want your KPIs to look like at the end of the quarter, right? How much MRR for us, that means monthly recurring revenue. How much MRR are you looking to get or receive per month? How much time are you willing to save as far as your workers, how much time are you trying to save for them, right? When they do a task, do you want us to cut that down to 20% or 10% of what they're doing now as far as time, especially for travel, right? Sometimes you probably don't need that golf trip, right? Maybe you could use Zoom in a particular way, but we don't know that until we start asking open-ended questions, then kind of drill down and maybe ask a few more direct questions, and then go, well, wait, if in fact this broader sense, this broader time savings, money savings, toggle tax, are you trying to make sure that you only work in certain instances on your desktop, right? Right today, the average is 7 to 10 different applications from different companies to work on someone's desktop, right? Do you want to cut that out, right? Do you want to do one or two, right? Saving the toggle tax, saving maybe 40, 50 minutes a day for your workers, right? Do you want to, how much of this work do you want to continue to hire people, right? Because if not, do you think AI would be a good fit, right? How do you measure success, right? So there's a lot of first kind of open-ended questions, especially on discovery, and then kind of drill down into what their business needs are, right? Because that's really what you're looking at. You're really looking at business needs. You could use technology to do anything, but how do you make sure that their business needs are met? And that's what you're really trying to go after.
So how did you develop the skill set to really ask those good open-ended questions? And like, what do you do when the client like just doesn't give you good answers, or they don't even know like kind of like what they actually need?
People will tell you about pain before they'll tell you about pleasure. People just by nature, and you ask how did I get to this point? I mean, I've been doing this for a while, and even sometimes I dive into trying to fix the problem as opposed to just, okay, hold on, let's stay back, get the wider picture. But the wider picture really comes from the customer themselves. When you say, well, how do you use video today, right? How do you save money on travel today? How do you get your KPIs up every quarter, right? And so a lot of believe it or not, you learn more from your mistakes than you learn from your successes sometimes. So oftentimes we will look at deals that we lost, right? I'm not afraid to say that we don't win every deal, right? No. And so sometimes learning from the deals that you lost, doing a deep dive into that, right? Some sort of root cause analysis of what happened. Did we ask the right questions? Did we miss the mark when they said they had a Microsoft background or WebEx, and we didn't really drill down enough into that? And so a lot of the learning comes from just, well, you get training as well, right? But sometimes that training doesn't meet you on the battlefield, and sometimes you forget. And so sometimes when you go into that situation where a deal is lost and you do a root cause analysis, then you go, oh, okay, this is what we have to pay attention to next time, and make sure that we ask wider open questions, right? Stay on the business level questions, and then drill down from there. You learn a lot about that. I'll tell you a true story. I was at a competing company prior to coming to Zoom. And you probably heard the term, if you can't beat them, join them. Well, I was at that company for 3.5 years, and I was determined to stay there till the end. But what I saw was a sales organization that, though we were doing our best at the time, we weren't innovating, and we weren't answering the questions that the customers had, right? We weren't creating enough success around their pain points, right? They'd say they had a pain point. Most of the time we couldn't fill it. We couldn't fix that pain point. We'd go around it, but rarely could we fix it. And so it got to the point where I just said, I'm a guy that usually stays in place. I'm not one of those people that likes to move around. I don't always think that grass is greener, right? And so I tried to stay as long as I could, and then finally said, you know what, this isn't working, because every time we walk into a deal, suited and booted, meaning we had our ties and dressed and real nice and smelling good, we would go in and we would get a lot of this. They'd be nodding their heads. Come to find out, Zoom had already been there, had already laid these landmines, right? Because they were asking us very pointed questions. Well, can you do this? Can you do this? Can you? I mean, they would ask 5 to 10 questions, would literally blow us out the water. We'd blow our legs off before we even got started. And then we would leave. A couple of weeks later, radio silence, nothing. Come to find out, they'd gone with Zoom. Well, you get enough of those, you're like, maybe I should go to Zoom.
Read the writing on the wall.
Right. Read the room, right? And so that's what I did when I came to Zoom, found out that one of the strengths of Zoom was the fast innovation, right? The real fast pace of innovation. So I hope I answered your question.
You did. And I kind of have one follow-up to that, because you kind of really spurred a good question with that. So you're talking about how people want to, talk about what's bothering them first versus what's going good. So, like from the perspective of like an interview, we're always supposed to ask, questions at the end, right? So I kind of want to get your thoughts on if asking, the interviewer, like, hey, like, what is one thing that you need help fixing? Like, how do you think that approach works in a job interview?
It's funny. Not being a great social scientist myself, I don't know if that's a good question or not, because I have answered that question several ways, and it didn't seem to make a difference, because what made a difference for that interviewer was my pedigree and what I did and what I brought to the job overall, right? So they looked at my total work, right? My total package of work and experience. So the answers that I would give were things that probably, I'm not sure how much of an impact those answers were, because I would answer it like, well, one of my weak points is, and it still is that I rarely take time off, right? I don't take the time to sharpen the saw, right? As one writer put, and that could make for a dull saw. I mean, quite frankly, right? If you don't get away. But that was one of the things that I would always answer. And it was true. I've literally had bosses call me and say, if I see another email from you on your time off, then that's going to be a resume generating event, right? Because we need you to take time off. You play hard, but we really need you to, you work hard, we really need you to play hard and take some time off. But I don't know how that moved the needle, as it were. So yeah, that's the best way I can answer it, Ernest. I just don't know.
Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. So when you're talking about your manager saying, hey, like, stop sending emails on your time off, like how is the culture with Zoom? I'm trying to think of like what's the best way to ask this question, right?
Is it like more startup or more established? Is that what you're going after?
Yeah.
We are more. It's funny. And by the way, someone had their hand up and they put their hand down. I didn't get to catch the name.
That was me.
Oh, okay.
I just I'll ask my question whenever.
I'll be quick on it. The culture here at Zoom is more like a startup, and I'll tell you why. Hopefully this story helps solidify the answer. But every Monday, the SEs, and I used to run this call, I don't anymore, but every Monday, we would literally go over release notes. Release notes are things and updates that have come out new on the platform. But the platform is so varied, you could tell if you had release notes on every single product in our portfolio, right? That's a lot. And so in a startup, you're wearing multiple hats. You're doing a bunch of things around a bunch of things. And because of that, you're rarely on your heels. In a sports term, you're usually on your toes. You have to be, because if you get caught flat-footed, a partner comes to you and says, hey, what about this new product you came out with? Uh-oh, what new product, right? And so we are always kind of in startup mode, feels like it, because we're always learning. We're always, I hope you guys don't hear the lawn people out there, but
No.
we're always learning, always trying to even keep up with our own pace of innovation. As opposed to at some companies that were staid and standard, and it was the same process, same product every week in, every week out. You didn't have to do that as much, right? You weren't as frenzied, I guess that's a word, right? You weren't as busy just trying to keep up with your own success. And so here we're still kind of like a startup, and we've got some good people who love to get information and give information, but sometimes even that you're still running to catch up. The joke that we still have, and I've been here 7 years, the joke that we still have is that we're building the plane as we're going down the runway, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're trying to make sure that great is not an enemy of ours, because once you get to the point where your product is great, someone else will leapfrog you because their product is good and just good enough to get the job done. So we're balancing, right? We're trying to be as good as great as possible without being leapfrogged by someone else coming into the industry doing the same sort of thing. So yeah, it's definitely startup. It's definitely, we're running all the time.
Cool.
I see Michael has his hand up.
Yeah. So when it comes to that idea of being like in a startup mentality, what is the culture in relation to how much time is spent physically together and remotely?
Phenomenal question, Mike Kelly. As you probably don't know this, but we had offices around the world. Zoom did. An office in Atlanta, a couple offices in California, and Denver. Pandemic hit, as everyone knows. Pandemic hit, and we all had to work remotely anyway. And guess what? As a company, guess what Zoom is trying to get most companies to do anyway? Is to use the Zoom product. Mm-hmm. To use the Zoom product already assumes that you're remote, right? So we had to drink our own champagne in that regard. So we have created a platform that works well or fits well into people working remote. Now, with that said, here in Atlanta, as well as some of our other offices, remote offices, we have people in Atlanta. We have a ton of people here in Georgia who all work from home. So oftentimes what we do is we try to have some sort of give back event. Like every year we give back to the community. And so we try to make sure that those people get together. And I've done several of those where we get together. And it's really fun because, man, I've not seen this person in a year, right? I've not seen him at the last event where we went to a farm or something, right? So we try to have certain events like that to get together. Now, it obviously takes effort for someone to actually create those, but we try to have those as much as possible. Now, we also like to have remote stuff. Like a lot of us would be on a call like this. What do we call it? Zoom. What is it? Anyway, I forget what it's called. I'm top of my head, but there's an event where we literally just get together over video and just kind of shoot the breeze, right? Just to kind of say, hey, what's going on over there? What are you doing? Right. But that's at a company level. But then you have different departments, like my department. We have like an event we had yesterday. We just call it Zoom Cares, right? We just literally get together and, hey, how's your week going? Right. And then on Friday, we really say you can't talk about work, right? This isn't a work conversation. What are you going to do the weekend? Are you cooking brisket or what, right? What's happening? So we're trying to be mindful in making those things happen because we're not together physically, but the physical connections that we make through our giving and through our outreach has been phenomenal. We're doing a thing now where we're actually doing steps. Right, we're literally doing steps and seeing how many. We're in ninth place. My team's in ninth place, so I can't even say anything. We've got 65,000 steps, and we're in ninth place, if you can believe that. Right, But in my team, most of my team is on the West Coast. One of my team members is in Minnesota. But as a team, we're just trying to do something to still stay together and connect. So we try to be cognizant of that. I mean, that's really the best way to do it since we're all hybrid, right? I see Steven and Ryan have had their hands up for a while.
Good, see.
Yeah, hey, thanks. I wanted to roll back to, for lack of better words, workaholic
Mm.
that you had. And my question for you is, what hobbies did you have during that time? Because I noticed for me, when I didn't have hobbies, even though I have family, kids, I still put a lot more time into the work. But when I found where I started hobbies, I started finding that work life rhythm. So I was curious if that was just me or maybe you as well.
I like to eat.
The brisket
Okay.
thing came to mind.
Right. But I like to eat homegrown stuff as well. And so my hobby, I actually became a permaculturist. Never heard the word 5 years ago, but I found out what it was. I got a certificate in permaculture, and I just tore went to my backyard and just tore it up, right? Just started growing stuff to be growing stuff. Growing stuff for the long haul and, annuals, as well as stuff that continues to grow. So I had and still have garden beds back there today, raised beds that I do gardening. Have done well with peppers, done well with tomatoes. Come to find out, the reason why my boys weren't eating tomatoes was because they didn't like store-bought tomatoes. But once I showed them what farm to table was really like, right? I literally pick a tomato from our garden and put it in front of them and ate it. They loved the taste, they loved the flavor, but they also love the fact that they can go out in their own garden and get it, right? And so that helped initiate, though I did it just because of the pandemic and because I didn't want to be a workaholic and I wanted to have a better work-life balance. It ended up having other benefits that I would have never, I've never even thought of. I even found out that you can overwater watermelon. Who knew, right? If you overwater watermelon, that thing will split wide open, right? So I had a couple of things like that. So, and that brought the family together, a couple of laughs here and there. But yeah, that, and I found myself finding a great rhythm in gardening. And so that's what helped me. Ryan? Oh, I hope that answered the question, by the way.
Yes, sir.
All right. Yeah, gardening is great for me. I love, squash, and I found out that I don't like okra, and okra is like the best growing thing on earth, but I freaking hate okra. So anyway, go ahead, Ryan.
Hey, Tony, and I want to greatly thank you for coming and speak. Actually, this is a career field I've been kind of diving down and kind of looking into. And I'm glad that you were able to go over like your day to day and stuff like that. So for somebody like me trying to get into a career field like this, whether sales engineer, solutions engineer, what's the best way to kind of like position myself and kind of like sell myself into this kind of career field?
That's a $1 million question, right? Because everyone has different routes to get here. Many of us have taken different and very circuitous routes to get where I'm at. The thing is, there are a lot of tech companies out there, right? And you've got a lot of college courses where you can get Cisco certifications. You could get, I would say Avaya, but don't do that because Avaya is kind of losing market share. But whatever the big technology is, try to find the training for that. Like CompTIA has some good training courses for whatever you want to get into, right? You can start off at computer repair and desktop repair, and then continue to find out and just continue to keep your ears open. And LinkedIn is a good place to do that as well, right? So if you follow a lot of tech companies on LinkedIn, you'll kind of get an idea of the direction you want to go. Right now, the huge moneymaker for Zoom has been Zoom Phone and Contact Center. I'm not trying to recruit you, by the way, but just let you know. Zoom Phone and Contact Center are huge money makers because I tell you why. Avaya of the world, the Nortel, the Mitels, right? These companies have huge PBXs, which are private base exchange. These are huge units that sit on premise. Okay. These units, by the thousands, by the way, these units have been sold very successfully by these companies, but are getting old. Now, this is not an age or ageist term that I'm about to say, but many of the engineers that worked on that are also aging, right? Because they got into telephony back in the 60s and 70s, right? And even the 80s. And now these folks are retiring, they're moving on, and you have less and less people going into learning how to administer a PBX, right? And so what's happening is a lot of this hardware stuff, and you're going to hear much of this as you continue to look into your journey, much of this is going to the cloud. Like just about all technology, some sort of way is going to the cloud. And so anytime anytime you're transferring from or going from on-premise to cloud, there's always going to be a huge opportunity, right? And so right now, the opportunity to move a lot of stuff from on-premise, again, we're talking billions of dollars worth of equipment that's out in the field today is being aged out and put on the shelf, as it were, and a lot of stuff is moving to the cloud. So anytime that Amazon's a great example. Oh my God, they're killing it, right? They've got a lot of services that they have actually taken and made a professional service out of it and have transitioned many of those on-prem companies to a cloud service. So any training you can get from Amazon, oh my goodness, right? Take it. Don't back away from that at all. Definitely get it. So yeah, that's kind of, but again, I would say, look at your Amazon, your Microsoft, your big company, NVIDIA. NVIDIA's been in the news, right? Check them out, follow them, and just kind of see what sparks your interest in those companies, and then just kind of go for it. But technology, anything going to the cloud is going to be worth your while to look into.
All right, great. Thank you very much for that.
You're welcome.
Well, go ahead, Michael.
Go ahead, Michael.
Yeah. So with that, I just want to go in this direction to ask how this is all been great and Zoom has impacted so many different industries. What is the first part is what is the outlook for the future growth for somebody that's in pre-sales? And what is the competition piece with, say, like Microsoft Teams or other similar platforms?
The growth potential is amazing inside of the company, period. Right? We are still running as a startup, so there are going to be other jobs that are going to proliferate from what I'm doing today, right? The bottom line is, as a solutions engineer, I'm busier than a one-armed man in a paper hanging contest, right? Because I support, let's say I support 6 CAMs, right? 6 CAM for us means a channel account manager. Each channel account manager has 250 partners that they are trying to reach out to so they could sell Zoom. And I'm their resource. So I'm supporting all 6 of those. Now, we've pared that down to the top 15. I still got 90 partners I got to talk to every week, right? As well as other partners who are getting excited about the platform and they want to make money, right? Because when you think about Microsoft, guess what? Microsoft, 95 to 97% of their money is made through partners. They're not selling directly. So anytime you find a company that's selling to partners and saying, hey, partners, we want you to make money, there's always going to be a lot of internal growth, even with us, because we have to support those partners, right? If that makes sense. So our CAGR, right, our growth rate is pretty steep. And I forget what it is officially, but our growth rate is pretty massive right now. Just think of it this way. We've got over 100 million paid customers today, around that. That's public knowledge, by the way. I'm not giving you anything secret. But we've got over 100 million paid customers. Maybe only 10, no, yeah, only 8 to 9 million of those have Zoom Phone. I mean, look at the trajectory there. Look at the hockey stick of growth. Just that one product. And look at all the products behind me. Just one product, right? There's a saturation rate that's really not that high, right? So the growth rate is phenomenal inside the company. And Michael, what was the second question?
How are you in the pre-sales going after sales with the comparison to, say, Teams and Microsoft 365 and other similar platforms?
Great, phenomenal question. So there are industries built around consulting large companies, because large companies don't have a lot of time to actually go out and look on their own, right? So you've got these consulting companies, right? We got the Gartner Magic Quadrant. You probably never heard of that, but Gartner is a company that will, and they're have companies that pay them to say, hey, Gartner, who's in your Magic Quadrant? Who's doing well in your Magic Quadrant, right? And anything up to the right are companies that are not only your large companies, they're also doing well, their growth is really well, and they're growing, and they're also considered leaders of that industry, yeah? Today, because of our pace of innovation, Zoom, sorry, giving a commercial, Zoom has done so well at innovation and bringing up what partners and customers want, right? Because a lot of the stuff that we're creating, it's not because we said, hey, that'd be a good way to do it. We did it because our customers said, hey, would you guys do this, right? And because of that, I'll give you an example. My church no longer uses Microsoft for external meetings. They used to use Microsoft for external meetings because Microsoft gives a lot of stuff away for free. Again, that's public knowledge, nothing secret. So they give a lot of stuff away for free, but our parishioners, 8 to 80, weren't connecting to meetings well. It wasn't easy to use. Zoom, come to find out, is one of the easiest platforms to use. So what happens? People are going to use what's easy. And because of that ease of use, right, you don't have to train people as long. There's a bunch of stuff there. We can go on for days, right? You've got day 0 services, day 1, day 2. But in the day 1, when you're training people to use a product, if you can train them in a day as opposed to a week, well, that product's going to get used more, right? People are going to like it. And so what happens is Zoom is now in that Magic Quadrant. We're a leader in that Magic Quadrant, above or pretty close to Cisco, WebEx, and Google, right? So we're just creating products and experiences that people like. And as long as we continue to do that, that will be our moat, as it were, right? I don't know if you guys do any investing or not, but when you do some sort of investing, the company that you want to invest in has to have certain things going with it. And one of them is a moat. And if you guys remember in the medieval days, a moat was this area of water around a castle, right? And the only way you can get to the castle was a drawbridge. And if you fell into the moat, there's alligators and other nasty stuff that would kill you, right? So our moat, right, has to be customer service. People just like us. They like our product. And those are some of the things that other companies aren't able to fulfill today. So that kind of puts us up. So as long as our moat stays strong, as long as someone falls into the moat and doesn't come out, we're going to be successful, right?
So would you say that your moat then is if I'm hearing this right, is the network system agnosticism that Zoom has?
That's part of it. that's part of it. The other is our pace of innovation. And the reason why we have the pace of innovation is because we listen to our customers, right? If you today go to some of the other companies and say, hey, do you use their product? Yeah, I use them, but every time I say there's a problem, I don't get a response for months, right? As opposed to they go, oh yeah, well, I'm talking to my Zoom person. Now, it may not be perfect, but we're not talking months as far as a response. We're talking days and weeks, right? Maybe days and hours, I mean. So yeah, so our mode is kind of multimodal, right? Multifaceted modes of why we kind of stay in the business and are doing well. But a lot of it's because we listen to our customers.
Yeah, if you have bad customer service, that's going to spread faster than wildfire. Because, like you said earlier, people will talk about the pain before they talk about the pleasure.
Correct. You've got it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I got one for John grabs. So I mean, you said you weren't here doing your recruiting, so I'll do it for you. So do you guys do like internships, apprenticeships, or training programs for non-traditional candidates, like folks that would be on here?
We have done in the past. We've not done it recently. So we had an internship where we actually had a bunch of cybersecurity engineers that were brought on through that internship. That has gone away for whatever reason, right? Budgetary reasons or whatnot, but we have done it in the past. So that's something that may come back. So definitely look at our site under careers, right? Zoom.com, go to careers. And if there's anything there, just matter of fact, if you in LinkedIn follow Zoom and then see, in fact, if there's something that comes open that you guys are looking. Cybersecurity is huge still, right? Customer service is good. Customer engineers. Yeah, there's a lot there, but yeah, what can I say? We're riding high. John, how you doing?
I'm doing good. This question will be a little bit easier. So, for all of his veterans out there, like if we want to get into solutions engineering, like what's the best way to do that? And like what skill sets do we have from the military that would make us like really successful, like as a solutions engineer?
Every some results will vary, right? How I got it, I'll just tell you how I got here. I went to college and got a telecommunications management degree. That's a 4-year degree. So I did that. End up again taking a very circuitous route to do what I'm doing now. But I got the degree, got the education, got a couple of other certifications under my belt, and then just went for, and then I got noticed by a few people who actually said, hey, we would like you to work for us. You seem to work hard, come early, stay late, that type of thing. Stuff that I learned predominantly from the military, right? Because you had to. you got to do that or they get on you. But I think going back to our training, our stick-to-itiveness, our intestinal fortitude, not a lot of griping, hey, we'll make it work, right? Because we're so used to doing so much with so little, right? We just kind of bring that attitude, oftentimes technical expertise from our last jobs, whether you're a mechanic or weapons or whatever, or electrician, you just kind of take those work ethics and skills into this field, align that with the education, the willingness to learn, right? That's a big thing. Willingness to continue to stay self-educated, right? Because most military people are self-starters. Let's just put it out there. Not many people are going to go to the military unless they're a self-starter. And so the fact that you go in and come out with that same attitude, I think that still will bode well for anything. Because let's face it, some of the soft skills are also good, and soft skills sometimes are hard to teach. You can't teach someone all the time if they've got to be on work at time. You got to be to work on time. You got to stay late. You've got to do things, right, that make you desirable as an employee. I've seen people who are highly technical, but Zoom wouldn't hire them, right? They just wouldn't do it because they didn't have the culture mindset that we were looking for, right? And so I think some of the soft skills, as long as you have the soft skills, that's extremely important as well. Because soft skills you really can't teach. That has to be almost ingrained in you. And a lot of that ingrainment, I don't even know if that's a word. We got that from basic training and tech school and whatever else we did, right?
Experience.
Yeah, we kind of come to the table with that. Whereas a lot of, I'm not trying to talk about, again, I'm not trying to go to the age thing, but there's a lot of folks that never had that experience, and they're coming to the table thinking, well, you need to give this to me, or I'm entitled to it. I don't think many folks in our ranks have an entitlement mentality, right? We kind of sacrificed ourselves, our bodies, our families to do something that kind of no one else would do, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, you mentioned like, hey, you know, we passed over these folks that are like stupid, crazy technical. So, I mean, what do you see or what do you hear, you know, for somebody who doesn't have that direct tech experience? How do they stand out in their application to go, hey, this is the cat we're looking for?
Sometimes sometimes the paper doesn't sell people that well.
Yeah.
Right. And so what does that mean? That means you're going to have to network with people. You're going to have to talk to people. You're going to have to network with them on LinkedIn. You're going to have to network with them at mixers, at technical mixers, right? Because sometimes the paper doesn't tell me. I'm gonna pick on Arnold, AJ. The paper may not really accurately tell me who AJ is, right? But I may talk to that dude at a party while we're having some tequilas and some tacos. What? That's the best guy on earth. We need to get him in a training program in our office, right? Or our company. Well, I may not get that same vibe from a resume, right? Because guess what? All resumes aren't created equal. All resume writers aren't created equal. So there's some things that may not Taco Bell, right? No quiero Taco Bell. So getting in front of people is still going to be one of our best skills, and as far as, you know, having some sort of quiver, right? Arrows in our quiver. It's going to be how we deal with people. It still comes down to that. This still is a people person business. The technical is great, but sometimes the soft skills are not as easy to teach. And if you get someone who's a go-getter, who's out there talking to people, talking right to people, by the way, you got to talk right to folks. They can excel much quicker than others.
So this will be my last one. So what's your piece of advice to somebody, say, from here, you know, applying to work at a gig at Zoom? Is there any things that you've seen where it's like, because now we're looking at the piece of paper, you know, they're networking, trying to get to know guys on LinkedIn, men and women there. Is there anything where, you know, there's kind of that, oh, silver bullet, this is the kind of person we're looking for they could put on that piece of paper to help them? No, it's probably a tough one there.
Yeah, that's a tough one, because you have a few people looking at those resumes, right? And a lot of what's going to happen is looking through their eyes, right? I don't know what someone else is looking for. I think I do.
Yeah.
But someone else looking at that resume may not see the same thing that I see. And that's why one of the things that we have going for us is when people come to us and say, hey, Tony, I want a job there, and they've worked with me, right? I've physically worked with that person. We work pretty heavy on referrals, because that's one of the first questions they're going to ask. Hey, have you worked with this person? Do you know their work ethic? And why would they be a fit for Zoom? What do they bring to the table that Zoom can use? Will they fit into our culture, right? And so that's why talking to people, right, being a good employee wherever you're at, you never know when that's going to come to fruition, right? So yeah, pressing the flesh is an absolute given in this industry. You're just going to have to do it and get in front of people, because again, the resume, right? And this has happened as well. The person may call me and say, hey, you put this person forward to get a job with us. Why? Hey, I worked with him. We did a couple of jobs in England. and we did this and we did that. And he was the first one to volunteer for that, or we did this or we did that, right? Oh, okay. I don't really get that vibe from the paper, but I'll give them a look, right? As opposed to they look at the resume, don't get the vibe, have no connection to anyone internally. I mean, what really can they do, right? And
Yeah.
through their eyes, they may look at, oh, by the way, this person worked at Avaya, or they worked at a Cisco, or they, you know what I mean? They worked at a name brand company. Okay, we'll give them a look, or they may not. Sometimes it just depends on both the recruiter and the person hiring for that position.
Got it. I mean, makes sense. It's, you know, it's not always what you know. You
It's
know,
who you know, right?
it's who
Sometimes it's
you
who
know.
you know.
Yeah. So
So it's best to network as heavily as possible.
yeah, we beat that horse dead and into the dirt and then turn into fertilizer because it's true.
That's right.
So I mean, that was my last one because we're running up against the clock. But Tony, do you have any wisdom you'd like to share? Any parting thoughts before we let you go? Something we missed?
I don't think so. I think I think the majority of it is if you're interested in what in this field, not necessarily what I do, but just in the field, look for openings just to even get in.
Get that foot in the door.
Just get your foot in the door, right? Make sure that when you put your foot in the door, though, you've got the requisite training or some sort of technical training, right? To actually present to go, hey, obviously it'd be great to walk in the door, put your foot in the door along with someone, right? Have a buddy program with you, have a buddy to help you. I mean, I would say that's the majority of it. Just try to connect with as many folks as possible. And again, it may not be a fast process, right? I mean, I've been here for a while, but I could have been here before. But because I didn't have someone reaching out and talking to their boss and saying, we really need to get Tony over here today, right? Because to be honest, I applied for Zoom way before I actually came to Zoom. And it was an absolute no. Right? Even with the pedigree, even with the companies I've worked, all of that, it was an absolute no. And then a couple of years later, someone said, hey, I think you should check this guy out. And he was like, oh yeah. And instead of 5 interviews, I had 2, then I was in the door.
Yeah. Yeah.
So sometimes it's not no, it's just not right now. Don't be afraid of those moments because sometimes it's a delayed process instead of a total no.
Yeah, makes yeah, you know, the squeaky wheel. Just keep working it. Have your buddies help you out and do right by them.
There you go.
There's their name on the line. So, hey, I want to thank you for taking an hour out of your day, Tony. Really appreciate it because you came in and dropped some good wisdom. And I'm definitely going to ping you with some Zoom issues I got because obviously I'm on here all day.
All right.
But yeah, it was awesome having you on. So, Tony Harris, Zoom, thank you very much, and I hope to see you again very soon. Everybody else will drop
Absolutely.
here for a few minutes. Be back at the top of the hour, and our next speaker will be on.
All right, folks.
Thanks,
Have a good one.
Are we doing push-ups?
I've heard of this. There's a fuzzy memory about that.
Some of us are on board, so push-ups or planks. Let's get it.
I'll do 10 push-ups with you.
I had physical therapy this morning. I'll pass.
Yeah, I ain't messing with the VA and having video documentation, me doing anything like that. Like, man, good point, Ralph. Big brother VA. Hey, Nick,
Sorry,
how
I
you
can't
doing,
hear
man?
anybody. Good, yourself?
Ah, delightful. Just had a good chat, so I love it. Ready for the next one. How about you?
Nice. Well, hey, I appreciate you having me on. Sorry, didn't jump on 10 minutes early. Call ran over, but appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah, no worries. Hey, it happens. So I'll get an introduction rolling for you. We'll roll right into it. You ready?
Yeah.
Woo! Cool. Okay, so today we're joined by Nick Cunningham, Marine veteran, served over 22 years in the Marine Corps, leading large-scale recruitment operations, managing multi-state teams, and overseeing a $200 million budget. After retiring from the Corps, Nick successfully transitioned to the civilian sector. You skill bridged with Lockheed, right?
That's correct.
Yep. So SkillBridgers with Lockheed Talent Acquisition, working as a senior recruiter and building a career in real estate as well. His journey gives him a unique perspective on the challenges, opportunities, and mindset shifts involved in moving from military service to the private sector. He's here to share what worked, what didn't, and how fellow veterans can position themselves for lasting success after the uniform. It's funny, you and I did some similar stuff. I got right out, worked for Pratt and Whitney, and was working real estate at the same time, which yeah, that could be a challenge putting those two together. I mean, were you trying to do both of them at the same time?
I originally started with real estate just because I was able to do it as I was transitioning out. And
Yeah.
then from there, I was doing both at the same time. I love recruiting. I love it's a puzzle, is the way I explain it to people. And for me, it gave me more freedom to actually be with the family and actually be part of something that I hadn't been for almost 22 years. So it was